Hello, going to do a tutorial about cinematic transitions in game. Um, so Unreal 5.6, they've done some great updates um, on how to transition in and out seamlessly from cinematics. Before you had to do a lot of the heavy lifting in sort of blueprint or code, where they kind of migrated that into the actual sort of sequencer setup. So I'm going to create a new project. I'll just do the combat one and call it cinematic into game. Okay, and I'm not going to go big into all the magic of sequencer and cinematic. I'm just going to set up something very basic. This is more about transitioning in and out from gameplay. So to start off with, I'm going to just create a sequence. So you go up to the tab up here. I just add level sequence. I'll call it test cinematic. Okay, and I'm gonna put it down here for a moment. Okay, so in our cinematics, we don't want to be using skeletal mesh because this is an in-game one. So we want to be using the player's blueprint. So if we go into world settings, game mode, go to the point, and just select it there. With that selected, we add now select from content browser. It'll create a proxy of the character in here. So that means it only exists in the actual, it only exists within the sequencer. You can delete we're not going to animate them, we're just going to slap some animations on them, so we can delete that. So you can see if I close this, he vanishes. I open it up again, there he is. Okay, so far so good. What am I going to do next? So let's, before I go too far, if I select him and I go into his details, so this is new, I haven't seen this before, it's great. You can actually bring, before, say you wanted to switch off the IK because the Anon blueprint, the IK lives in the Anon blueprint, and you have your character in the car, the foot IK popped through, so you need to switch off the Anon blueprint, set it to class settings. So now all you have to do is you just toggle that, and we get our new Anon class. Actually, do I want Anon class? No, I don't want Anon class. I want use Anon blueprint. Okay. I untick you there, or do I just get rid of you here? Yeah. So here I'm using the. Deleted the wrong one. It's a great start. I want Anon class. Yeah. No, I don't. I want animation mode. Okay, so animation mode is set to use the Anon blueprint, but equally I could just change this to use custom mode, and that way it would just be playing 100% of your animation that you spent weeks working on. Set a note key there, and then I could like transition going back into using the Anon blueprint. I'm not going to do that at the moment, I'm just going to leave it in the Anon blueprint for this. Right, so that's the first thing I want to do. Now, the next thing I want to do before I get into the, before I get into the before I get into any code, just click on the actual sequencer few things I want to do here. So yeah, before again you would have to, disable input and enable input at the beginning of it. So here, just while it's in the cinematic, we can just toggle these on, and that does that for us. There are a couple of other things I want to do in here. I'm going to switch that off. I don't want to constrain it because I don't want the borders on the side of my aspect ratios. Right. And let's finish. Yeah, so at the end of it, I want it to keep whatever state it's in. Finish complete state override. Keep state. Yeah, I think that's it. Is there anything else I need to do in here? I will come back to it if there is. Okay. Okay. There is one thing, the instance data. Okay. Enable some dynamic instance data to be displayed. Right. Okay, so I toggle this on. I'm going to use this as basically my endpoint. So before you could, if you were setting up your own one, you'd set up a target point or something and reference it to it in your blueprint to lock it onto it. So now I'm going to use the actual cinematic to be the final point. So at the end of it, I'm going to have the character standing here. Anything else I'm supposed to be doing? Aspect ratio, origin, actor. I think that's it. I can now start actually getting some animation on this character. Okay, so just move you into place first. I'm going to have you here. Right, so to start off with animation mode, I'm going to add a couple of animations. Okay, so let's start with an idle. Pistol idle. Cool. Okay, so here's my pistol idle. Let's make this longer. Okay, so and I'm going to say again and finish. Keep state. Okay. Now, and we can also locked trim cubic. Okay, let's just add something else in here. We're going to get another animation. Jump. Okay, let's drag that out here. No, this is the jump one. Falling, I think. No, this is falling. Okay. What I'm going to do is, so at the moment it will just kind of mash those up. So what I'll do here is I'm going to put the weight of that to 1, and then the weight of this to 0, and then after a second let's jump to 0 and that to 1. And then this is 1, that's 0, and then after a second you'll be 1 and you'll be 0. You'll be 1. Okay. And here let's add a transform track. Transform track. No, I already had one. transform. So at this point you'll be here, and then at this point you'll be at this thing. So I'm just going to click on that, right click here, copy, and paste. That's a super jump animation. Switch it there. Whoa. That's not good. Okay, that'll do. You'd spend weeks creating a lovely animation there. We're just going to slap those in. Okay. Do I have enough animation there for the moment? Yeah, let's get into the actual little bit of code. Right, so to actually get this thing triggered, I'm going to use a trigger volume. So trigger volume. Okay. Let's say on here. The player stands here. That will trigger it. Okay. So let's open up the level blueprint. Okay, so we go up here. So I'm going to do the little bit of logic now in the level blueprint. Open level blueprint. Off screen over here. Okay, so while I have my trigger volume selected, I click in here. Let's right click. I can add an event on that trigger volume, and I want to do add on active begin overlap. I now want to cast to my VP third person character. Okay, now, oh, there wasn't one other thing I forgot to do. Okay, first one let's, where is my test cinematic? Okay, I can just drag you in here to get a reference to you. There is one other thing I need to do, because I want the proxy character to be, wait, I want my proxy character, I need to get my blueprint to bind to it, and how we do that is right click on here, I need to add a tag, I'll call it Max Cine. So I got my tag here, so I bring this back here. Now I want to take off here, set bind by tag, and what did I just, wonderful name did I give this? Max Cine. Okay, so I want to bind you to bind you, and then who's binding it is a third person character. So now I also need to play the cinematic, so I need to start to play a sequence player, and that will also be the reference to the cinematics. Cinematic, first of all, it's going to bind it to the player, and then it's going to play the cinematic. Okay, and this will probably take a little bit of toing and froing. Right, so let's close you. Let's turn the starting point so I'm facing the right direction. Okay, so here I am. Oop. Brilliant animation. And he's stuck in it. Brilliant. Okay. That sort of worked. Alright, let's see, what have I screwed up? Okay, this will be in the cinema. Okay, so that should be all the logic we need. So let's close that down. Just, what am I supposed to? Maximize. Okay, now. That's done. Alright. I want you. Properties, key state, this action. Blend you in and out. I think I can. So. Yeah, there we go. And now we're blending back to, yeah, because we're keeping the state, so we're blending back to the animation blueprint. Okay, let's see what that did. Save, close, try again. Come on, get on with it. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so that's basically it. Now, let's just... Cool. Okay, and then we can just start building on this. Very basic, but we can then go in, we can add our cinematic camera and all the wonderful things we do with a cinematic camera. It's there. First key somewhere behind the character. Ends up. The story ends up. Just so we know we're actually using a cinematic camera. Brilliant. Right. Okay, yeah. Great. Okay, we know where's this, and we can then set that to, and we right click, so right click here, top kind of blend, just like we did with the animal blueprints, or not with the animal blueprint, do that, back, where does it grab that thing, like we did with the animal blending back in. Okay, so now I hit play, we should have a nice, so I've only got those bars on there, why are they there? Oh, I need to get rid of the cinematic camera details, constrain that, yeah. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So, because the blueprints, I just want to see if I, in here, just sure we might do this. Let's see if we switch. So we're in animation mode, to see a little T-pose in there, but we can probably work around it. There we go. Yeah, definitely not winning any BAFTAs with this, but transitioning in and out pretty nice. Yeah. I'll leave it